Did you know that mastering social skills can boost your career, improve your relationships, and even make you happier? In a world dominated by digital interactions, the art of connecting with people on a personal level has never been more valuable or more rare. What if I told you there's a simple way to increase your likability, gain influence, and connect more deeply with the people around you? In today's video, we're going to break down How to Win Friends and Influence People, the timeless classic by Dale Carnegie. This book has been transforming lives for over 80 years, and its principles are just as relevant today as they were when it was first published. And if you stick around until the end, I'll share a special tip from the book that could change how you approach any social situation. Before we dive in, if you're passionate about personal growth and want practical tips to help you level up, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I've got a lot of valuable content on the way. Let's get started. The emotional foundation: why criticism fails. Have you ever been criticized at work or by someone close to you? Think back to how it made you feel. Did it make you want to improve, or did it just leave you feeling defensive and frustrated? Carnegie's first principle might surprise you. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Here's why. People are emotional creatures. We're not driven by logic as much as we'd like to think. We're driven by ego, pride, and a need to feel important. Criticism usually only triggers defensiveness, making the other person dig their heels in deeper. It rarely leads to real change. Let me share a quick story. Bob Hoover, a famous test pilot, once experienced an engine failure mid-flight due to a mechanic's mistake. Instead of criticizing or firing the mechanic, Hoover calmly told him, "I trust you to service my plane again tomorrow." This moment of grace didn't just save the mechanic's confidence. It probably secured Hoover's reputation as a great leader. Now think about this. How often do we rush to point out someone's flaws? Imagine how different your relationships could be if you chose to understand and forgive instead. It takes more strength to be empathetic than to criticize, but the rewards are far greater. Appreciation, the currency of human connection. Let's face it, we're all hungry for appreciation. Whether it's from our bosses, friends, or even strangers online, that craving to be acknowledged is universal. This leads us to Carnegie's second key principle: give honest and sincere appreciation. But here's the catch. Don't confuse this with flattery. People can see right through fake compliments, and insincerity is more damaging than saying nothing at all. Instead, focus on genuine moments where someone has added value. A simple thank you can go a long way, but sincere appreciation can transform relationships. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Every man I meet is my superior in some way, and in that I learn from him." If we adopt this mindset, we'll naturally start seeing the good in others, and we'll feel compelled to acknowledge it. This is a powerful way to make people feel seen and valued, which in turn creates trust and loyalty. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you're in a conversation, find something specific to appreciate about the other person. Watch how their demeanor changes. It's almost magical. People want what they want, not what you want. Imagine going fishing with a piece of cheesecake on the hook. Sounds absurd, right? But that's exactly what most of us do in conversations. We focus on what we want instead of what they want. Carnegie's third principle is all about learning how to appeal to other people's interests. This is especially important in today's world, where attention spans are short and everyone is focused on their own goals. So here's a question for you. Do you think people care about your desires, or are they more interested in what's in it for them? Take this example. Andrew Carnegie, a different Carnegie, once used a clever tactic with his nephews. He didn't ask them to write back because he missed them. Instead, he hinted he'd be sending them $5, but didn't include the money. Naturally, they wrote back to ask where the money was. The lesson here: if you want to get someone's attention, figure out what they care about and present your message through that lens. Next time you're in a conversation, instead of focusing on what you want to say, ask yourself, what does this person need or want? Lead with that, and you'll see a noticeable shift in how people respond to you. The power of a simple smile. Here's something simple you can do right now to improve your social interactions. Smile more. Think about how a smile makes you feel. Whether it's from a friend, a stranger, or even a pet, it instantly lifts the mood, right? Carnegie tells a story of William Steinhardt, a notoriously grouchy stockbroker who decided to try smiling more. The results were immediate. Not only did his personal relationships improve, but his professional life flourished as well. There's even scientific backing for this. Studies show that smiling triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin, making both you and the person you're smiling at feel happier. Plus, it's contagious. When you smile at someone, they're likely to smile back, creating a positive feedback loop. So here's a quick, actionable tip. Tomorrow, as you go about your day, consciously smile at least 3 people. It's a small gesture, but you'll be amazed at the difference it makes in your interactions. Remembering names, the subtle art of making people feel valued. Let me ask you this. How does it feel when someone remembers your name after meeting you only once? Pretty good, right? One of Carnegie's most powerful lessons is to remember and use people's names. To each person, their name is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Forgetting someone's name, or worse, getting it wrong, can damage the connection instantly. To make this practical, when you meet someone new, try repeating their name in conversation. Say, "Nice to meet you, Sarah," instead of just "nice to meet you." Not only will this help you remember, but it will make Sarah feel important and valued. Here's a tip. If you're really struggling to remember names, try associating the person's name with something visual or descriptive. For example, if you meet someone named Mark, you might think, "Mark the spot," like an X on a treasure map. Simple memory tricks like these can make a big difference. Listening, the most underrated skill for success. In today's fast-paced world where everyone is eager to be heard, being a good listener can set you apart. Most people aren't truly listening, they're just waiting for their turn to talk. Carnegie argues that letting others talk about themselves is one of the most effective ways to win friends and influence people. In fact, one of the most interesting stories from the book is about how Carnegie attended a dinner party and spent the evening listening to a botanist talk about plants. At the end of the night, the botanist remarked what a great conversationalist Carnegie was, despite the fact that Carnegie had said very little. The takeaway? People love to talk about their passions, and when you give them that space, they feel heard, valued, and understood. Try this. In your next conversation, challenge yourself to ask more questions and listen carefully to the answers. You might be surprised at how positively people respond when they feel truly heard. Avoid arguments, they're not worth it. Let's shift gears for a moment. How many times have you gotten into a heated argument only to walk away feeling worse than when you started? Carnegie has a simple rule. The only way to win an argument is to avoid it. When people are forced to defend their beliefs, they rarely change their minds. In fact, they often double down. This is known as confirmation bias, and it's something we all deal with, especially in today's polarized social and political climate. Instead of confronting someone head-on, look for common ground. Use empathy to understand their perspective, and gently guide the conversation toward a shared solution. Carnegie tells the story of how he once diffused a tense situation with a police officer by admitting his own mistake right away. Instead of escalating, the officer became more lenient, and Carnegie walked away without a ticket. The final secret to success: make the other person feel important. Here's the last, but certainly not least principle I want to leave you with. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. It's easy to overlook this, but it's one of the most powerful tools for building meaningful connections. Think about it. When someone makes you feel important, don't you want to be around them more? We all want to feel valued, and by acknowledging others' importance, you not only win them over, but you also lift them up. So here's your final actionable challenge. This week, make it a point to genuinely compliment or appreciate at least one person every day. Watch how their face lights up when they realize you see their worth. Final thoughts and recommended reading. Now that we've explored how to win friends and influence people, you might be wondering, what's the next step in mastering influence in relationships? I recommend checking out The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. It's a fascinating guide that dives into the strategies behind building influence and navigating social power structures. If you like the lessons in Dale Carnegie's book, you'll find Greene's work both insightful and thought-provoking. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing which principle from today's video resonated with you the most. Your feedback helps me create content that's even more valuable for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.